This segment's being sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife.
Many of us are very passionate about our deer hunting. The work starts long before archery season. We're constantly studying and learning, trying to improve our chances on a harvest. Plus, to be able to get up out of a warm bed, to walk through the dark in freezing temperatures, we have to be passionate, right? Or maybe a little crazy. Probably a bit of both. In Psalm 63, verse 8, David says that my soul follows hard after God. In other words, he's saying that he is very passionate about his relationship with God. Every day he chooses to follow God, to seek his face and not his hand. And everything that he does, he's passionate about building his relationship with God. So my challenge for all of us this week is this. Just like we're passionate about our deer hunting, let's use the same amount or even more passion to pursue our relationship with God. Let's seek his face and not just his hand. Thanks for watching today. As always, we pray that you are blessed. And always, remember, keep shooting straight.
All right, guys, this segment's being sponsored by Taylor's Archery. They're over at 100 East Lauderdale Street in Tullahoma, Tennessee. Or y'all can give owner Tracy Taylor a call, 931-563-7706, and let Tracy and his crew take care of all your archery needs. And be sure to tell them thank you for all they do for our kids in the archery programs. All right, welcome back to the studio. We're joined tonight by Chris Snow, Snow Spin Baits. And Chris, we've been talking about the fact that going into the fall here, we're hitting a transition period. We're kind of switching up baits a little bit. We're switching up depths a little bit. But what I want to talk about now going into this segment, you've got a whole variety of baits here with you tonight. And if you will, let's just kind of walk through some of them and what they are, you know, kind of why you're using those this time of year and how you use them, you know, or what conditions, you know, clear, cloudy, because I know that makes a big factor as well.
If I was going to the lake in the morning, I'd have 4 rods out on my deck. The first one would be the Whopper Plopper. I like the short one for right now. The reason I like to throw a Whopper Plopper this time of year is because it makes a commotion on top of the water. Yeah. Now, as the water gets colder, I go more to a spook. Okay. It's a more subtle, slower presentation. Yeah. But this right here, I want something just popping, because when you go back in the backs of these creeks and things, you just see shad just flickering on top, surfacing, things like that. That would be number one, and I can cover a ton of water with it.
Yeah, that's another thing about it. You can chunk a line down the road with it. Sorry about that. Oh, it get hung up. No, it didn't. We kept it out of the carpet down there.
The second one would be my Squarebill. Okay. Like I say, you can cover a ton of water. What you got to remember this time of year is you got to match the hatch. Use something small. Yep. The third,
just like in the video we just came out of. That's exactly why that worked when it did.
This, don't go no bigger than that. The third bait I'd have tied on is my what I call my small fry spinnerbait. That's what I call it.
Now what is that? What's the weight on that bait?
That is a ½ ounce.
Okay.
With the smaller willow leaves on it.
Yeah, I've got a number 4 and a number 3.5 on there. It matches the shad this time of year.
Smaller profile.
About that big. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what they're feeding on. I don't normally use a trailer when I'm fishing this time of year, but a lot of people might put a 2.75 swim bait or maybe a split tail or something, but I usually don't. And the fourth rod I would have tied on is my old trusty drop shot, like I've showed before, because the first couple hours of the day they're generally going to be shallower, and as the sun comes up over the hills, they're going to move out. They're going to move a little bit deeper, and you can scan. You can ride over the surface of them and tell what depth they are. Then I can sit there and just play my video games with them. That's what I call it. Video games. I mean, I can watch this thing fall 100 foot deep, and I can pick it up. And but that would be the 4 baits I would have tied on in the morning. But this time of year is junk fishing now. I don't know if a lot of people don't know what junk fish. Just pick up a rod and start throwing it. I mean,
see what you come up with.
And people catch them like that. But you know,
And you brought a few rods with you too.
And never never leave home without a jig. I mean, they're always going to buy the jig, and of course.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the rod. Now, you have a couple different rods, different lengths, different weights with them, so let's talk about that.
This is the snow spin. We've come out with a series of rods. We've got rods for each situation. We've got a Ned jig rod, which is this rod. Yeah. We've got a shaky head rod. We've got a spinnerbait rod. Daytime spinnerbait, nighttime spinnerbait. We just come out with the jerkbait rods 2 weeks ago, and last Friday I got a shipment of A-rig rods in. They're 710.
All right, that's some good ones there.
They are sweet, and you can get these. You can call me, get a hold of me on my Facebook page, and we'll get them to you.
Absolutely, it's a great looking rod as well. But you just mentioned something that Dayton and we just spent a show talking about this just a little while back. But you said a spinnerbait rod, a Ned jig rod, so on and so forth. So every one of these has a different spine to it, different length to it. It's set up for that bait.
I want to show you something about this rod, if she can zoom in real quick. This is considered a Tennessee handle. So what you do is you physically tape the reel to this piece of cork. There is no screw-in settings or nothing. It's physically taped
so you might be
onto here.
For
you know what I mean? So that's the difference. You get the physical feel through the cork.
Well, it's more sensitive.
That's what I'm saying. It's a hole that's 10 times more sensitive with a Tennessee handle versus any other spinning rod you can get.
And most of your power fishermen, they call those fairy wands.
That's right. There's little whipsticks, little things like a fly rod.
But who cares? They work.
That's absolutely.
That's right.
Then we've got the spinnerbait rod here. This is 7.3 heavy.
Right.
Nighttime. This is my nighttime spinnerbait rod. You don't have to use the spinnerbait for this. You can fish a jig, a big worm, anything.
Buzz bait, anything.
Yeah, just sling
now, what do you consider the difference? You said a daytime and a nighttime spinnerbait rod. What's the difference in the daytime and nighttime rod?
I like a heavy rod at night because I'm throwing a heavier bait, generally a 3/4 to 1 ounce on up to 1 ounce and a half. Okay. And I like a heavy action rod. Now, when I go to daytime fishing, I like a medium heavy. A medium heavy, and that's it.
And a little lighter line.
Yes, a little lighter line. And I like the underhand cast. And if you've got tip in that rod, it just makes it so much easier to place that bait by that bush, by that stump, by that dock. It just makes it so much easier.
And while
we've got them in 6'10". They're coming out. We've got them in 7 foot. We've got them in 7.3, medium to medium heavy and heavies, action in all of them. And just if anybody wants it, we'll have plenty of them at the show this year. We'll have a whole
Looking forward to that already, guys. I mean,
and like Center Hill Lake, over the years, they worked on that lake for years, and they kept it way down below winter pool, like super low. So all those years, these trees have grown 18 foot tall all over the whole lake and 5 foot and whatever. So when they brought the lake back up, now Center Hill is a jungle up and down the banks.
It's changed a lot.
You'll be idling and thinking you're 20 foot, and there'll be a treetop sticking up beside the boat that's literally standing up off the bottom. So it's a whole different animal now.
It's different. But
unless you're fishing river channel points where they just get out there now.
But
or mouth of them creeks like. Gerald will be watching. I better be quiet.
Hey, you don't want to tell on nobody now. I tell you, get us in all kind of trouble out here. No, I mean really, it does just depend. But a lot of times your creek channel points and things like that are great to be on right now this time of year. Anywhere on one of those secondary points where that's coming through there. And I like it. I'm a Ned rig guy. I throw a Ned rig a lot up there at Center Hill. Bobby right there on Del Hollow right now, he's hair flies.
But they've got the lake pulled down now. That fall.
Yeah. So it's there.
They're dropping it. They still flooded bushes there.
Right.
But not as many as there are in the springtime. And I really think this year and last year, with the water being up like that, I think we've had an excellent spawn. And I'll tell you something else too, with what I think, and I've talked to a lot of folks up there, that high water's kept a lot of those fish from being caught. And they've had the opportunity to spawn.
Just stay away.
And I can't go up there and look at them and catch them because I get home.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't get to them.
Yeah.
But they're up.
There's a lot of advantage too. That, you know what Dayton was just mentioning. I mean, that's not just a small. What you just mentioned a while ago about all those trees and all this being created, it was like a whole new environment.
Right. I mean, there was animals and everybody.
And Chris, you hit on exactly what I wanted to hit on, but that was that when it comes to spawns, when you have that kind of cover for these fish now, all of a sudden, your spawns are going to be
they're so far
better.
back there you can't even find them. I mean, they're not even anywhere you can find them.
It gives them protection from you, it gives them protection from predators.
The best flippers in the world can't get to them.
You can try your best.
That's right.
Is it? Well, guys, let's go over and do this week's tip of the week. This week's tip of the week is being sponsored by our buddy Wes Stone over at Crowd Light Realtors. Y'all can reach Wes at 615-289-9551 or stop in and see him at 1432 West Main Street in Lebanon, Tennessee. Let Wes take care of all your real estate needs. All right, well, Chris, you've been sharing a lot of stuff tonight. You got another little tip you want to share with us here?
I was showing earlier the whopper plopper. The whopper plopper does not come with a feather treble on the back. I take all the hooks off and swap them out to lighter wire hooks. Right. And I use the feather treble.
Feather tail.
I really like that feather tail.
Does that seem to, I guess, get more bites for you?
Well, it looks more. It makes the bait a little more realistic.
Probably less short strikes on it,
and once you stop it, it breathes. It may look real, and that could make the difference in you catching a fish or not.
Absolutely. Great tip there. Well, guys, we'll get ready to take another quick break, and we'll be right back with some more Southern Woods and Waters.